Greetings to all men and women of goodwill in Kerala, throughout the country, especially those in the Christian fold. I don't have to say that the Christian community in India, particularly in Kerala, is going through a period of unprecedented disorientation, spiritual anguish, and moral disarray. The community has suffered shocks and blows one after another because of its leaders. Things that you do not associate with even ordinary people, or as the objectionable word would have it, heathens, are reported with sickening regularity about the church leaders in Kerala. It's very embarrassing for me to go into details, and I refrain from doing so. I'm sharing a particular concern through this video, and that is the concern pertaining to the ongoing process of finding a chairman for the National Council of Churches in India, NCCI. NCCI is an important organ, an important association, which represents the non-Catholic churches in India. Therefore, a person who occupies the helm of affairs as far as this vastly representative body is concerned must be a person of distinction, a person who can represent the dignity and gravity of the Christian community in an effective and credible manner. A community insults itself by choosing or accepting mediocre and depraved men and women as its leaders. Unfortunately, this process has been going on for a long time. More often than not, people who become bishops are people who simply do not deserve to attain that position of dignity, and they succeed in their stratagem to conquer and occupy positions of importance using all kinds of devious methods, because people involved in selecting them or electing them are vulnerable to be bribed, influenced, and purchased. This is a general tragedy, and I just mention it as a background to what is happening in NCCI. I understand that the metropolitan, the Orthodox metropolitan of the Kundankulam diocese, Georgis Mar Julios, is in the fray, and there is a distinct danger, and I use the word danger very, very advisedly. There is a distinct danger of his becoming the chairman of the National Council. Why am I concerned? I mean, I am not directly involved with NCCI. I am not a member of the Orthodox Church or any other church at the moment, but I am certainly an ardent follower of Jesus Christ. I consider my faith to be the most precious thing about my life. I am concerned about this because, in my opinion, in my considered opinion, based on at least 3-4 years of very, very close and minute observation of all that's been happening in this state, the least suitable person to occupy this position is Georgis Mar Julios. This is not what I am saying. I know it for a fact that a vast majority of people, at least thousands and thousands of members of his own church, including his own diocese, are grossly upset with him. As I've been watching the social media processes in this regard, there are so many members of the Orthodox Church that have in recent times expressed their anguish at the way this man is conducting himself, and wondering why it is that stern action is not taken against him. They feel that he should be actually removed from his position as a bishop in the best interest of the church. So a person who is deemed to be unfit to give leadership to his own diocese, to be now promoted to the position of the chairman of the National Council of Churches in India, is to me unthinkable. A particular instance that came to my mind needs to be cited here. An 11-year-old boy, a boy of sterling qualities, great competence, absolute devotion to his faith, and someone who mastered the liturgy of the church at so tender an age, was humiliated simply because his father tried to expose the corruption in his own congregation, his own church. Rather than appreciate a member of the church who wants to take the side of truth, justice, and transparency, the bishop becomes a party to, in effect, excluding him from all the benefits of the liturgical benefits of the church. The boy was actually handed over to the police when he tried to assist in the Sunday worship, which he was doing prior to his father falling out with the church authorities. Now, this episode went up to the Commission for Child Welfare, and it was widely discussed in the media, social media in particular. This is an episode that made me say a few words about the utter indefensibility, the inhumanity of this way the bishop handled the issue. I usually don't meddle with the internal affairs of a church, but this is not an internal affair. This is a question of violating the basic rights of an 11-year-old boy, a boy being punished for what his father has done which displeased the bishop. Now, that's a kind of immorality, is utter immorality, injustice, inhumanity. Such a person, there are all kinds of other allegations about him, and I refrain from mentioning them because I'm not directly involved, nor do I have documentary evidence. For example, reportedly he is the second accused in the alleged murder of a bishop. Let me put it, death under mysterious circumstances of a bishop, which is alleged to be a murder. But I have absolutely no basis for believing that this bishop was involved in it, because the investigation, I am told, is underway, and I know that in Kerala such investigations reach nowhere, so that's a non-issue as far as I am concerned. I am also told that his brother has been missing for more than 2 decades, and he was one way or other involved in it. I have absolutely no basis for believing this, but this is being widely talked about. The fact that he did nothing to trace his missing brother, so these things do not concern me one bit. But there is one more concern which I need to flag here, and that is, I am sure every one of my listeners would have noticed that people least suited for positions try and creep into these positions for one reason, and that is, they believe that by occupying these chairs of honorific value, they will add something to their gravity which does not exist. Now, let me put it more simply and directly. Suppose I believe that I have some worth. I don't have to, put one more jewel on my crown to prove that I am somebody. I don't need a crown. I believe that there are 2 types of kings in the world: kings with crowns and kings who do not need crowns. And I believe kings who do not need crowns are better kings. The others are bogus kings. They just happen to be kings by default. So, if you understand that principle, when you see a bishop playing politics, using all kinds of unchristian methods, immoral methods, indecent methods to capture this position or that itself should convince you that the person concerned is not only unworthy of that position, but that he is not even a good specimen of Christianity. Even when this man becomes the chairman of the National Council of Churches in India, I would like to know on what basis he has been elected. What are his merits? What is his contribution to the image and credibility of the Christian community in Kerala or in India? What are the qualities that would prove that this man is capable of giving worthwhile leadership at the national level? Now, if a person is elected or selected without any reference to his personal merit, his stature, what he stands for, his commitment to ideals, his commitment to Christianity, then surely there is something wrong about it. In terms of what I have seen, I can vouchsafe that he is busy cultivating the BJP because he thinks that with the help of BJP, by selling the Christian community to the BJP, he can acquire huge personal benefits. And I wouldn't be surprised if the influence of the BJP in the Northeast is playing in this particular process. How exactly it's working out, I do not know, but I can make an intelligent guess. And because it is a guess, I will not go into details. At any rate, I want to reiterate my absolute conviction that does not leave behind a shadow of doubt. The National Council of Churches in India surely deserves a better chairman. This is a this is a position graced by persons of some distinction in the past. The National Council of Churches will insult itself, and the council in turn will insult the Christian community if it has to function, or if it accepts the most regrettable state of having to function under such dubious leadership of extremely dubious merit. And I hope that at least at this 11th hour, this calamity can be averted, and men and women of sense will avert this calamity, this disgrace for the Indian Christian community as a whole. And I place my trust in those who are involved in the process, and I pray to God that they be given good sense in order to act responsibility and in a state of accountability to the Christian community as a whole in this most crucial process. Thank you, and all the best to those who are listening to me. Let's pray for the Christian churches, communities, leaders, because we are passing through a period of unprecedented crisis. This is a time that a whole community needs to be on its knees, praying for God's mercy, God's guidance, and God's forgiveness.